Today on Locked On Bulldogs, we're talking, I don't know, a little thing called experts and a little thing called predictions. And all of a sudden, football starts and people start losing their minds. We're going to talk about what the experts predicted was going to happen with the SEC as well as college football championship and playoff, and why it's insane. And then also who showed out this weekend so far that might be changing the landscape of a whole lot of stuff already. Next on Locked On Bulldogs.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Clint with Locked On Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day. Huge help for us. We're glad you guys are here doing that. Daniel is elsewhere today, but we are here talking about how predictive people, and it hurts the brain to talk about predictive people or people who make predictions or whatever you want to call them. Experts is what some people call them. And we're going to talk about how ridiculous it is. And I mean, objectively ridiculous that people are predicting Georgia not to win the SEC. They're predicting Alabama to win the SEC. And next time anybody says, well, who in the world, who in their right mind would be saying that Georgia's doubted? Well, it turns out everyone. So we're going to talk about, first segment, what the experts are thinking, how they got there. Second segment, we're going to talk about who showed out this week. And then lastly, Florida still sucks and will always suck. So let's get down to it. ESPN, which we all know is a joke of a sports. They got rid of David Pollack. Horrible. They got rid of a whole bunch of people that know what they're talking about. They kept people who have no clue what they're talking about. And then they went on the show, and every single person that's supposed to be the college game day experience expert said Georgia will not win the SEC. A couple of them didn't even have Georgia in the playoff. Two of them picked Alabama to win the whole dang thing. One of them picked Michigan. A whole bunch of other experts are then saying SEC is going to go through Tuscaloosa. Now, I've been on this podcast saying I think Alabama gets into the playoff. I've said so many times. Here's how I think is the most likely scenario. If you heard me, I apologize. If you're new to the podcast, glad you're here. You'll hear it for the first time. If you've been listening to the podcast forever, if you're part of the 199, the loyal 199, the loyal third segment, which come back for loyal third segment, you're going to get a special treat. If you've been on here before, you've heard me say this. LSU will beat Alabama. Alabama will have one loss. LSU will have two losses. They'll lose to Florida State or somebody else and to Georgia in the SEC championship and not make the playoff. Alabama will backdoor their way into the 4-team playoff for this year. And then subsequent years, it's going to be everybody and everybody, right? Okay. Here's what I think is going to happen with Alabama. I think they're good. They're a talented roster. They have defense. That's incredible. They're stacked on D. Offensive line is a cluster. It's bad. It is bad on their offensive line. CJ Latham is not as good as Amarius Mims. CJ Latham is playing left tackle. They don't have a quarterback situation figured out. They probably will start multiple quarterbacks getting into the season. It's bad. Okay. But here's where it gets really interesting, because a whole bunch of experts say, well, don't worry. Alabama, I trust their roster. I trust their coach. Yeah, they have quarterback situation, but that can be answered. Then they go to Georgia and they say, oh, you lost talent. Alabama had a ton of people lose. They lost a ton of people to the NFL. Oh, the head coach. No, the best head coach is currently in Athens. Today's current best head coach is in Athens. Back-to-back national championship. And then quarterback situation. Oh, Georgia doesn't have it. Stetson left. You can't claim Stetson was bad one year and horrible and a walk-on and just bookie. You can't claim that and then say, well, now they got to replace Stetson. Pick a lane. Experts, prognosticators, because now Carson Beck comes in and you say, well, the quarterback situation not solved. Carson Beck is more of a proven commodity than anybody, and I mean anybody, on Alabama's roster. And here's what I'm talking about Alabama, because it pertains to the SEC, it pertains to playoff. If you want to tell me that you think Alabama's going to get in there, get it. I think a lot of games are going to be closer than Alabama would like this year. I think they're going to win. They're going to be closer than they like. Okay. Georgia has a more talented roster, has more proven commodities on offense, has a better head coach proven recently, not of all time. Bama fan, hit me in the comments, please, all day long. But to go out here and say Texas is more of a proven commodity to win their conference when they didn't win it last year, and Kansas State is still dang good, and Oklahoma is still out there, and Florida State and Clemson aren't even on the playoff bracket of half these guys when they're a better team right now than Alabama because of the question marks all over the place. If you want to tell me Alabama gets in, that's fine. But please be consistent as you understand Georgia. And if you don't know what you're talking about, this is why we've long said national sports media people are experts of nothing. They're experts of nothing. They can't. They literally can't. All they see is, oh, here's a logo, here's a color, here's a name. Cool, let's go with it. That's what they do. Because if you are actually to concern yourself with Georgia, Brock Bowers is the best offensive weapon. Carson Beck can sling the ball. He's shown it. He's proven it. Number of UGA players had him go to their pro days to sling it out. We knew this was coming. We understood it was coming. Kirby Smart and Mike Bobo, the combination is lethal. You would know all of that instead of just guessing, instead of just throwing darts at a wall. And that's what are they thinking? Be consistent in your logic. If you're going to slam UGA, then slam other teams. Or if you're going to elevate other teams, elevate UGA. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because y'all done screwed up. Because now, when some of you say, who was doubting you? Everybody. And I have screenshots to say, everybody. Ain't no lie. Ain't no BS. Everybody. And that's what's just so ridiculous to me about this entire process. It's just maddening, but I love it. I love it because college football is here. I love it because Georgia is doubted. I love it because they still hate Kirby after 2 years of back-to-back national championship, after raising up Stetson Bennett, after getting a defense that's all world. After all of that, they still go, well, you never know. Well, oh my good night. Thank you. It brings me great joy, brings me great pleasure. So I appreciate you, experts out there who don't know a thing they're talking about. Hey, we're going to come back after these and talk about who showed out this weekend and why it's important for UJ and why it's important for the playoff. It does impact, I swear to you. We're going to come back right after these. And these are game time. Look, it's the time of year where you're scrambling for tickets. Are you not? Game time is the place that you're scrambling for tickets. You're trying to find where to go. We might be looking in the business for Kentucky game tickets. If all y'all know anybody that has a couple of tickets for Kentucky, let us know. We are coming down. And we don't want to scramble. We don't want to get over there. Game time is our go-to place first. We love Game Time. We love our fans. We love our listeners. But Game Time is an incredible app. It is easy to get to. Go to the app. Get the app for Game Time. Download it to your Android or your iOS device. And don't be the people that are trying to scramble to buy tickets from another uncle who you know twice removed from somebody else as you're trying to get tickets. No. Go to the Game Time app and get the events that you want to have right on your phone. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event, exclusive flash deals on tickets, football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for 20% off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redemption code LOCKEDONCollege for 20% or $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, I want to talk about who showed out for us this week, not just us as fans. There's a bunch of notable things that I want to talk about as it pertains to Georgia and why it's so important. The first thing I want to get to, I'm not going to go to Notre Dame yet. I'm going to get there in a second. And then the third segment, we're going to come back and we're talking about why Florida still sucks and why it's going to be awesome watching them lose to Utah in the opener next week. Here's what I noticed first and foremost. UMass was a hot train wreck the last 3 years. They were awful. They were horrible. They were disgusting. They were gross. They were dirty. All of a sudden, they come out against New Mexico State. New Mexico State's not a great team, but they're a competent team. They're fine. They're okay. They're passable. What happened? On the broadcast, I was listening to the old ball coach. He come on back for a second stint at UMass. I was watching the game. That UMass team played great ball. They played passionate, disciplined. They traveled all the way up from the Northeast to Las Cruces, New Mexico. Holy geez. If you haven't been around the United States, let me tell you, those are two very, very different places geographically, climate, elevation, culture, everything. Time, travel, they didn't travel through time. They had to travel, and time was a factor on that. They lost hours of sleep. They had to go out there to Las Cruces, and they get out there. And I heard on the broadcast something like 16, 17 transfers in the portal come out to UMass and ball for that team. Many players on defense, many players on offense. They had speed. They had discipline. They had an incredible thing going. And here's why that's important. Anybody know of two notable transfers in the portal that came to UGA? It used to be portal was this brand new thing, and it wasn't out of control yet. And people did it to try to get playing time, to find their exact right location, because they were disenfranchised with the place they just came back from, and they didn't trust anybody. And they proved that they could be a pass disrupting for. Oh no, that's not what he did. He proved to be nothing on defense. Oh, that's a shame, Trojans. You didn't get who you thought you got. Disenfranchised. I'm mad. I'm angry. I'm gonna say forget you and go somewhere else. That's what the portal used to be. Now the portal is how do I find myself in college football? How do I understand? How do I make myself have the ability to step up? I'm not disenfranchised. As a matter of fact, I can speak well of the places that I came from, but I want to go someplace that's going to set me up for the greatest success. And all of a sudden, enter Rah and enter Lovett, wide receiver core. And here's why this is really important. I saw transfers on UMass transform that team from 3 wins in 2 years to all of a sudden shellacking New Mexico State. I was dead wrong on that one. Holy geez. I thought the travel, I thought the going out from 2-3 time zones away was going to be a factor. It was not. I thought New Mexico was a well-coached team. They had some people coming back. They are, but UMass is a very well-coached team and have a lot of talent influx from other places. Enter Georgia. Georgia already had incredible coaching, incredible culture, incredible roster talent. And they had some attrition, notably Don Blaylock and a couple others went to other places. Don Blaylock to get some more playing time after a couple of injury-plagued seasons at Georgia Tech. He wanted to be close to home still. And again, Don Blaylock, if any of you blaspheme Don Blaylock, come at me because I love that dude. Go get you some, Dom. A couple other guys went to be closer to family in Texas and some of their kin they have out there. So that was fine. All of a sudden you enter 2 other guys that want to stay in the SEC, don't want to go to the Pac-12 or the defunct whatever conference they're going to call themselves, the Big 10, Big 12 minor, the ACC minor right now. And the 2 guys coming in can ball. Highly rated in the SEC, highly graded in the SEC. They're going to come out and they're going to show out. They're going to be incredible. And they can do and make such an impact instantaneously out of a little attrition that we had from championship clubs to this year's club. And they are going to fit right in with Ladd McConkey, Brock Bowers, Roseme, all Meeks, all the likes. There's going to be plenty of playing time to go around. They're going to work hard. They know the dedication. They know the pass blocking scheme. They know the run blocking scheme. They know everything that's required of them. Put on their hats, get the lunch pail, go to work, and they will be just fine. I watched it for UMass, and I'm excited for it. That's the new portal. The new portal is different from the old portal. The second thing I saw, my goodness, Notre Dame with Sam Hartman. Now, many of you got on me on Twitter because I said, Notre Dame's going to ruin some folk. And you said, come on, Clint, it's Navy. I know it's Navy. I get it. Ben Dukes pointed out, play a defensive line bigger than 250 pounds on the defensive line. Again, I understand the talent level is not there, but Sam Hartman is. Y'all, Sam Hartman made a smart decision. Freeman, ball coach at Notre Dame, made a smart decision. Getting rid of the offensive coordinator so he can go to Tuscaloosa. Smart decision. Getting rid of the quarterback so he can go to Tuscaloosa. Smart decision. Because Sam Hartman's a real deal. Like, the real deal. Y'all, he's going to change Notre Dame. They play Ohio State. They play Clemson. They play USC. One of those teams is losing to Notre Dame, if not 2. USC ain't got a chance, I think, right now. If what I saw, Caleb Williams always has a shot. I suppose he's incredible all-world talent, so he can pull a rabbit out of a hat. Yep, he's great. But as a team, it's ugly. Lincoln Riley does not know how to get his own way. And Notre Dame's going to cause problems for somebody looking for the playoff contingent, and they may mess around and get in the playoffs themselves. If you gave me odds today after watching them and you were to say, Clint, I'll let you go back and make a flyer for playoff. Florida State was my flyer for playoff. But Notre Dame, with Sam Hartman is a different beast. He makes that team different. And number 7, that old cat running the ball, that guy's beastly. He wants to ruin fools' lives. So watch out for massive playoff implications at the end of the year because Notre Dame upset a couple fools. And then really be looking, Alabama fan, you should be really, really, really excited about that because some teams that might go perfect, Clemson might go perfect. USC is hoping they can go perfect and run through the Pac-12. I don't think they can, but if they do, all of a sudden, if Georgia, Clemson, and Ohio State and somebody else goes perfect, you can't lose to Georgia and you can't lose to LSU. It's important. It's vital. We're going to come back after this. I'm going to tell you why Florida still sucks and why it's great being a Bulldog fan. And here's a little hint. It's great because it is. All right, y'all. I can't wait for next week. This week's in the books. We watched Saturday. We watched some great football. There was some great football because it's football on the screen. I don't care what teams were. It was great because there was football on the screen. Y'all, Florida is not winning more than 4 games this year. This is what I know. And Georgia, watching the slate so far, Georgia has an absolute opportunity to repeat. I'm even more convinced as I watch teams, as I watch players, as I watch the transition, as I watch teams like Notre Dame, as I watch teams like Vanderbilt, which, by the way, Vanderbilt going to cash real soon in the season. Real soon in the season. They got some players. Swan can throw the ball. Those wide receivers can catch. And Vanderbilt, Clark Lee is doing some things out there. And Clark Lee may have a better squad right now than Florida does. And that's not as hot as a take as some people might. We need Vanderbilt on this show to tell us how excited they are because Clark Lee is doing something in Nashville. It's real. And that's how bad it is to be Florida fan right now. Clark Lee at Vanderbilt has a more compelling product on the field than you do today. I'm not. If you're on YouTube, you see my eyes. By the way, hey, welcome in 199. I'm going to get to it in a second here. Give me a second. Welcome 199. We're glad you're here. If you're part of the 199, you're here, loyal third segment listeners, go over to bonfire.com/store/the199. That is bonfire.com/store/the199. Get your, here comes the Death March t-shirt, which I have right now, which is fantastic. Here it comes. It's great. Get the t-shirt. Get all the products that you need. Bottles and Buckets is another great t-shirt that we have. Get over there right now, bonfire.com/store/199. You are part of the 199 if you're here. Now, Florida sucks. Get the t-shirt. Clark Lee is doing some things, and it's horrible, horrible, horrible to be Florida fan, and it's great to be in the SEC right now because, again, there's complete chaos happening. Vanderbilt has a product. Utah's going to roll through you. Cam Rising, I don't know if he's going to play or not. I have no idea. Coming off the ACL, maybe not. But the SEC is oddly competitive because I'm looking at teams like Mississippi State. Who knows that's a complete wild card. Will Rogers, good quarterback, team well coached before. If Arnett can do something great, LSU, Brian Kelly's been on talking about how he wants to be Georgia. He wants to win ugly at times when need be. Those are what great teams do, like we did at Mizzou last year, and he's dead on. They have a competitive roster. Alabama's always competitive. But now all of a sudden, Vanderbilt comes up. Florida might be finding itself the basement dwellers of the SEC, and I'm here for it all. It's glorious. The Death March is real. Florida sucks. I can't wait. The SEC is alive and well, and Vanderbilt's good, and Georgia is going to be tested. See, this is what's exciting. When you say cupcakes, oh, there's such cupcake schedule. Hold on a second. Vanderbilt's an actual competent program now that is not just a pushover. They are not to the level that Georgia is. I understand that. But Florida might be worse. That means Vanderbilt is better. Missouri might be better than a couple schools. South Carolina is certainly good. We don't know about A&M and all the rest of them on the other side, but just hold your nose, hold on to your butts if you want to say Georgia has a cupcake schedule, because you don't know that for certain yet, because teams like Vanderbilt are actually doing very well development-wise. Clark Lee, good on you. Hey, this has been Locked On Bulldogs, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. We will see you guys next week where we talk more Georgia as we talk about game week and leading up to it and all of our locks and all the news that you can get. Thanks for joining us. Your team every single day. See you guys then.